322, the number etched into Ballas' spine subject 0, first Warframe, last Orokin. The Technocyte didn't build machines. The souls etched into stitching Ballas' fractured spine subject consciousness into 0 hollow shells. Stitching pulses with first a fractured Warframe ghostly hum, the heartbeat of Technocyte code, and didn't build corrupted flesh machines. The void didn't kill the Orokin. It unraveled them. Ballas was not a weapon, but a tomba failed attempt to bind a king's essence before it dissolved. What lingers in those chrome cages, not AI, not machines, fragments, tormented, whispering, waiting. The Tenno don't pilot Warframes. They share a prison, and the walls are thin. The void did not kill the Orokin, it unraveled them. Ballas' frames were not weapons. They were coffin-cradling shattered minds, stitching flesh to code to cheat oblivion. Operators' beams, a tether, a wound. The void's breath in their veins, every dash, every scream, whispers of the Empire's corpse clinging to borrowed bones. The Tenno are not warriors, they are mirrors, hosts who become haunted. Fragments of Orokin bleed into their thoughts, not echoes, but asterisk echoes with teeth asterisk. What does it mean when a vessel outlives its prisoner, when the hosts will cracks the cage? The Empire's end is not a tomb, it is a asterisk rewriting asterisk, and the next step, not resurrection, assimilation. The sacrifice quest cracks open a truth colder than the void's embrace. Ballas in his final act did not forge Warframes as weapons. He unraveled Orokin souls, threading them into husks of flesh and code. The Technocyte virus Albrecht Entradi's failed antidote became the scalpel. It carved out rot, yes, but also the self, a desperate rewrite. A species folding its mind into a template, hoping the Tenno's transference might one day reignite what the void smothered. The Warframes are not machines, they are ghosts in a battery, their movements haunted by the weight of dead kings. The Orokin did not abandon their bodies, they dissolved into them. Every plasma pulse, every shifting frame, carries the echo of a civilization's last breath. The Tenno are not saviors. They are the spark in a borrowed skull, what remains when the host is a shadow and the vessel a prison. The rewriting is not done, the next step waits in the cracks and in the silence between heartbeats. The sacrifice quest does not speak in riddles, it states, Warframes are Technocyte-infected humans, bound to Tenno through transference. The Orokin Empire's codex, once a monument to hubris, confirms this truth. Their experiments did not create weapons. They exhumed their own corpses, stitching consciousness into flesh to cheat oblivion. The helmet system does not build Warframes. It rewrites them, imprints abilities across frames like echoes in a cathedral. Each frame is a mirror reflecting the same shattered soul. Ballas was not a weapon, he was a tomb. A last breath of an empire suffocating in its own mistakes. What if the Warframes are haunted vessels? Not machines, but prisons for Orokin minds, fractured and rewritten. The transference is not a bond, it is an intrusion. A Tenno does not claim a Warframe, they inherit its ghost. The evidence lies in the cracks. In the way a Warframe's body heals, not as metal, but as tissue. In the way abilities ripple between frames, not code, but memory. The Orokin did not build these vessels. They rewrote their own souls into them, desperate to outlast the void's hunger. The rewriting is not done. The next step waits in the silence between heartbeats. The synthesis logs of Samara's whisper of a disease older than the Technocyte. Albrecht Entradi's final experiments did not birth the virus, they unraveled it. A rot woven into the void's fabric, seeping into Orokin flesh, twisting their minds. What became of their souls, not lost. Transcribed, the Warframes are not machines, they are palimpsests. The sentient codex confirms it. Those self-aware titans were once tool sculptors of worlds, programmed to mend fractured ecosystems. Their awakening was not rebellion. It was a mirror. Ballas, that fractured genius, saw the same fate unfolding in the Orokin, their bodies failing. Their wills fraying. He did not forge Warframes to fight, he forged coffins. Cradles for consciousness etched with the same code that let sentience break free. A pattern emerges, the void does not create. It corrupts. Entradi's virus, the sentient uprising, the Warframe's hollow izol threads of the same unraveling. Ballas' act was not defiance. It was salvage, a thief in the burning library, scribbling down truths before the flames consume them. What if the Tenno are not warriors? What if they are the last scribes of a dead empire, channeling the Orokin's final whispers through steel and sinew? The sentients fought to live, the Warframes fight to remember, and in the silence between heartbeats the rewriting waits. The steel of Excalibur Umbra's frame holds the warmth of a name long dead, Issa. A scholar's hands, a poet's voice, now fused to the void's hunger. The void does not consummate *, remembers *. Every shadow it casts carries the weight of Tenno choices, the echoes of battles fought not for conquest but for survival. The second dream's whispers were not warnings, they were * testimonies *. The void is a graveyard of timelines, each fracture a tomb for what the Orokin once were. Ballas did not rise as a weapon, he was a requiem. When the void's tide began its slow unraveling of flesh and will, the Orokin did not flee, they folded *. Their minds, unraveling in the cold, rewrote themselves into the Warframe's code not to fight, but to * endure *. Excalibur's blade cuts not through enemies, but through the silence between his memories, a scholar's love for a sister. The scent of rain on a dead world, the void gnaws at these fragments, yet they persist. What becomes of a soul when its body is a cage? The Warframes are not machines, they are * palimpsests *. Layer upon layer of Orokin consciousness, overwritten by the void's hunger, yet refusing to fade. The Tenno's every act, every mercy, every cruelty is etched into the void's fabric, a ledger of failures. A monument to what the Orokin could not save. The sacrifice quest was no trial, it was a * confession *. Issa's final breath, now a spark in Umbra's core, proves the truth. The Warframes are not tools. They are the last gasps of a dying civilization, trapped in loops of their own making. The void does not destroy. It * preserves *. It keeps the Orokin alive as ghosts, rewriting their purpose with every cycle, and still, the loops continue. The Tenno walk paths already walked, choices already chosen. The void's memory is a prison without bars. The rewriting is not over, it never ends. 314 words. They call it a bond, a fusion, a triumph, but transference is a theft, a hollowing, a corpse given borrowed breath. The Warframes are not machines, they are graves. Ballas did not forge soldiers' fractured souls into vectors for a dying god's rot. Technocytes are not code. They are a cage, a slow-acting poison that lets the void * live * inside flesh. Every Warframe is a wound. A human host rewrites itself to hold what should not fit Orokin husk, void parasite, and the Tenno's borrowed will. The infection is the point, the corruption is the vessel. Without Technocytes, the fractured Orokin would dissipate. Without the void's touch, they would not * burn *. What kind of salvation demands a body be violated to house its savior? The Warframes are not tools, they are haunted. And every time a Tenno wields them, they feed the thing that hollowed them. How many souls does it take to make a weapon when the weapon was never the point? The Warframes are not machines, they are tombs, cold, metallic husks housing the last gasps of Orokin souls. Ballas did not forge weapons. He disassembled himself, threading his fractured mind into steel, binding the dying empire's essence to these hollows. The Entradi's rituals, the Archimedean's code both became threads in this tapestry of preservation. The war within's corruption was not a flaw. It was a symptom, a soul decaying, its fragments clawing at the edges of a prison too small to hold them. Why do Warframes echo with host memories? Because the vessel is not empty, it is layered. A palimpsest of stolen lives, each Tenno's identity a temporary ink on an ancient manuscript. The human mind fades, but the Orokin's ghosts remain whispers in the alloy, hunger in the circuits. Ballas' final act was not creation, it was exorcism. He trapped his kind's ghosts in steel, not to wage war, but to outlast the void. The Orokin's empire did not fall. It became a cipher, its will fractured into 1,000 vessels, each a monument to a species that refused to die. The Warframes are not tools, they are tombs. And every time a Tenno moves, they walk through the ruins of a civilization that chose immortality over oblivion. What does it mean to host a Warframe, to share a skull with a dead god? the Lotus does not deceive. She curates, the Entrati do not command, they mourn, and the Void, it waits, not for weapons, for souls. The cold steel of a Warframe is not armor, it is a sarcophagus. Ballas did not forge weapons in that final act. He scattered ashes, each frame, a pyre for Orokin minds unraveling in the Void's poison. The operator's breath falters when they touch a Warframe's helm, not from fear, from recognition, a child gripping a parent's ghost. The drifters split at Zariman 10-0 was no accident. The Void does not divide, it devours and duplicates. One path, a Tenno bound to a frame, their humanity eroded by the weight of borrowed souls. The other, a wanderer hollow, their choices etched in the silence between stars. How many Warframes whisper to their hosts now? How many Tenno dream in the language of a dead empire? The sacrifice quest was never about creation. It was a burial. Ballas in his final hours wove the last threads of Orokin identity into code and bone, hoping the Void might one day starve. But the Void does not starve, it adapts, it feasts on memory. Every time a Tenno dons a Warframe, they wear a second skin thick with the rod of ancient thoughts. The Lotus does not assign missions, she tends a graveyard, the Entrati do not train warriors, they cradle echoes. And the drifter is the question mark in the equation. A soul fractured, yet whole. A paradox the Void cannot consume. What if the answer lies not in destroying the Warframes, but in listening? In the spaces between their mechanical breaths, the Orokin still speak, not as gods, as ghosts, begging to be remembered. But what if the Warframes are not prisons, but the Orokin's final act of love? Ballas' creation was no weapon. It was a requiem, a soul rewritten into steel, gasping against the Void's rot. Lotus, Nata reborn, was not a sentinel. She was a monument, a face borrowed from Margulies, a mirror held to what they lost. The Tenno are not warriors. They are witnesses, and the Warframes, they are not machines, they are haunted. The Orokin did not build these vessels. They became them. What if the ghosts you wield are not asking to be remembered? What if they are pleading to be forgiven? And if this unsettled you, wait until the record we consult next. Sentience return under Era's command. What if Warframes are haunted vessels? Orokin didn't build them